Welcome everybody to what is the last regular season entry of Gamecock Talk here on this channel. And man, what a way to end the season. As before we get into that game, I just want to go back to the beginning of the year. You know, we're a couple weeks into the season and things weren't looking all that great. We're sitting at 1-2. We're coming off of major losses against Arkansas, a team that, as we know now, is not nearly as good as they look like they were against us, and a team in Georgia who still sits atop the college football realm, so they're still really good. Arkansas's fallen off since then, but we're sitting at 1-2 off of 2 straight blowout wins, and if you tell me that we get to 6 wins, you travel back in time, you tell me that, I'm pretty consistently happy with that. You know, I thought that was probably our max wins for the season. I figured we'd get a win, you know, steal a win against Texas A&M or Florida, which we did one of those. I figured we'd win those games against Missouri and Vanderbilt and, you know, get to 6 wins, just barely scraping by. But then if you tell me, you know, hey, we got 7 wins, I'd get a little bit more skeptical. But hey, maybe, you know, Florida made a mistake. We lose, or we won that game. Our offense went off or something like that, which we know did not happen. But then you get in here and you tell me we won 8 games, but you lost to Missouri and Florida. I would probably start to think you're a little crazy if we win 8 games, especially looking at our remaining schedule. You know, we still had teams like Kentucky, Texas A&M. We still have Missouri left. We had Florida left. We had Tennessee. We had Clemson left. So many decent to really good teams that are ranked or were ranked coming into the season. So a lot of those wins or a lot of those games look like they were games where we would have to upset them to get the win. So if you come in here and you tell me, hey, you got 8 wins, but you didn't beat Missouri or Florida, that means we had to beat Tennessee and Clemson, and that is exactly what the Gamecocks did. They finished the season beating 2 top 10 teams, 1 top 5, and today against number 8 Clemson. I can't remember a time where the Gamecocks have looked better in a 2-week span compared to the rest of the season than now. I mean, Spencer Rattler didn't necessarily have the greatest game of all time. You can't sit there and maybe say that, or can't sit there and say that he had a legendary performance against the Tigers. You know, 2 interceptions. The first one, an ugly pick 6, but you kind of move past that one pretty quick. It's 7-0. You've got to almost treat it like it's 0-0 now. That second interception right before halftime at about the half-yard line, 1.5-yard line, that one was really killer. You know, it was a very bad look. It was a very bad read, a very bad throw by Rattler. Even if that guy didn't dive to intercept it, he had a defender right behind him that likely would have taken it. So that one really took the spirits down right before halftime. But at the end of the day, this team they just wanted it more than the Tigers. They worked hard to get that win. You know, you rushed for 54 yards total. A lot of those came at the end of that game there where they were really pushing the running game, or pushing it to the point where, hey, you know, we're not getting the first down. Let's just run the clock down as much as possible. And that actually kept Clemson in the game, in my opinion. It could have been a bit of a, you know, higher scoring game if the Gamecocks didn't kind of just settle down and run it and just be ultra conservative in that fourth quarter. But obviously at the end of the day, it worked out for them in the long run. They were able to hold DJ Uyangale to under 100 passing yards. He finished 8 of 29, 99 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. And his one touchdown pass, surprisingly enough, or unsurprisingly enough, came on a bit of an error play by the Gamecocks players. They just had a misread. They miscommunicated. Cam Smith thought he was getting help over the top. He wasn't getting help. Antonio Williams wide open in the end zone. So if you take that out and, you know, you take the mistakes away from Spencer Rattler, this is a very, very different ball game and still in favor of the Gamecocks. It seemed like both teams, especially South Carolina, did everything in their will to simultaneously come back and win the game, but also, you know, give the game to Clemson. They had multiple timely penalties that I'm like, hey, you know, that's a good first down run. Holding, you're back 1st and 15. Hey, that's a good 8-yard run on 2nd and 9. Block in the back. You're back, you know, 15 yards back. I mean, Jay just did everything, I felt like, to try and lose this game. But at the end of the day, they also did everything perfectly to win it when it mattered the most. I mean, they allowed 237 rushing yards. Will Shipley had himself a day. Maffa also had a very productive day, 7 for 42. And DJ, 12 for 51 on the ground. But at the end of the day, none of that really matters. The Gamecocks came out on top. Mitch Jeter obviously hitting the field goal there earlier in the fourth quarter, and from there on, it was kind of just a defensive slugfest. Clemson's defense was not giving up an inch on the ground, and so the Gamecocks were perfectly content taking, 3-and-outs, running as much time off the clock, and the Gamecock defense made plays. An interception there in that fourth quarter. You have multiple 3-and-outs, multiple third down stops, and they really forced the Tigers to have to throw the ball, and that's when we started to see mistakes be made. Finally, at the end of the game there, obviously, play of the game, Nate Atkins comes in there and is able to not only make the tackle, but while he's making the tackle with one arm on that punt return, knock it out with the other. Basically sealed the deal right there. They got a first down by Juice Wells, and after that, just run the clock out. Game over. The Gamecocks snap a 7-game losing streak against the Tigers. They also snapped the Tigers' 48-game home winning streak there, and they also snapped the Tigers' 68-game winning streak while leading at halftime. So that is a lot of pressure there for the Gamecocks, and they basically ended all of those streaks. The Tigers have to start over a clean slate after that, and wouldn't even say a dominant performance by either team. It was a back and forth performance in that first half. The Gamecocks seemed like they made just one too many mistakes to still be in it, and they were only down 9 at halftime. My spirits were low after that interception, but I kept my faith, and the Gamecocks came out there in that second half, and they played a stellar second half. They protected the ball for the most part. They had a great job in that second half, not committing any turnovers. They kept the ball. They ran the clock, They finished the game, time of possession, 32-57 to 27-03. They had 5 penalties for 55 yards, 3 for 23 by Clemson, and turnover-wise, they actually won the turnover battle. Clemson ended up having 2 fumbles, that one early in the first half, then that one late in the fourth quarter, and then the interception by DJ. And man, the Gamecocks have finally gotten a win in the Palmetto Bowl. It's been so long. The last time they did it was 2013. I was not old enough really to remember a lot of it now. Obviously, I've went back and rewatched some of those games, but it's crazy to finally have one where I'm like, hey, I was there, I was watching this, and I'll remember this game for the rest of my life. Just a big win for Shane Beamer and company here in that second year. You've got to feel happy for them. You've got to feel happy for this Gamecock team, a team that has fought and scratched their way to an 8-win season, a team that likely is going to be ranked next week going into the bowl season, and I am very excited for that. But as I said, this is not the final installment of Gamecock Talk. Expect these, this is probably the final weekly one. You will see one for the bowl game as well, but as news comes up, Marcus Setterfield news, stuff like that, as news comes up about the Gamecock organization, expect to see more videos on stuff like that. But I thank you guys for joining me on this particular part of the journey as we basically wrap up our football season for now. And I thank you all who have tuned into these videos, everybody who's hit the like button, everybody who's commented and stuff like that. And I hope that you guys will continue to watch my series, continue to, hit the subscribe button on my channel and turn on post notifications so you're ready to catch up and ready to see any videos that I drop. And thank you all for continuing to support me. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.